Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to my channel, Straight Out of Context. Copyright disclaimer. Under the Copyright Act of 1976, I am within my full legal right to share these following clips via video and audio. The following creators allow reshare, redistribution, and download of their content, and as always, I credit them in the description box. Fair use, public domain, TikTok third-party license, and TikTok Live automatic third-party license for the use of commentary, reaction, teaching, news reporting, research, comment, and criticism. I am legally within my basic human right, my civil right, and my constitutional right to share, under the First Amendment to the Constitution, my expressions, my views, my thoughts, opinions, feelings, and my critiques. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guarantees my freedom of religion, freedom to exercise of, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, free assembly, and the right to petition the government. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution does not cover lies that amount to defamation, slander, libel, harassment, stalking, cyberbullying, threats, doxing, or other verbal crimes.
All right, so we're playing this game right now where we read each other these parenting questions and kind of see how we would each react in this given situation. So I'm gonna pull the first question. I'm gonna ask you, and then we'll go back and forth.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, my fair use reaction. Ken looks very awkward. If they're using a cell phone to record this, I don't know what it is, but he is looking at it very awkwardly. Now, Gypsy is smiling like she's used to doing this, but he, however, looks awkward and weird. His body language looks very uncomfortable. He is sitting Indian style. He is squirmy. He is also smirking, but it looks like he is somewhat flushed and sweaty.
We'll both kind of answer though. I'll let you give your answer, and then I'll give mine, and then vice versa.
Okay.
All right. So, I got two. Hold on. Okay.
I was gonna fold them, but...
And these are all basically situations as first-time parents, how we would navigate it. So, how do we handle it when we disagree about a parenting decision?
I bet that they have already had their fair share of parenting disagreements. The way that Gypsy looks off to her left and the way that Ken is looking at her sounds to me like they handle it by not letting the public know about it. Oh, also, fair warning to everybody, don't be surprised if I actually have something nice to say. Not all of my thoughts, feelings, views, expressions, and critiques about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, Ken Urker, her family, friends, and associates are negative or neutral. I actually do have some positive things to say sometimes.
I don't know. Maybe talk it over. And I could explain my reasoning, and then you could explain yours, and then come to a compromise maybe.
Clearly, she says maybe we can talk about it and have a compromise or come to a compromise. Clearly, what she is stating here is that in theory, they have not already done this. This is something that is common in marriages, relationships, friendships, and relationships with other family and friends. The first thing should always be to talk about it. It's the fact that she says it in theory, as if they have not already practiced that in action, put that in practice. And mind you, their baby is 5 months old now.
That's pretty fair. I feel like that's kind of how we do things already. Like when you have an idea for how to solve a certain problem, and I'll look into it and kind of weigh the pros and cons and see if it's is this appropriate for a 5-month-old or whatever, and
with the whole thing, when to start her on purees and stuff.
Right, that's a good example. And I also feel like we have a lot of people to lean on for questions. I can ask my mom, you can talk to Chrissy.
The best person you should go to for advice would be the baby's pediatrician. However, I really like how Ken took control over that and tried to bring it back to, oh, we already do that. He is keenly aware that they are making a video for the public.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. All right, so what do you think your biggest strength as a parent will be?
My biggest strength as a parent, I think, my patience. I think that I have a lot of patience, because sometimes, it's hard whenever like she doesn't want to go down for the night or something like that, and
Yeah.
you know, I'll think that I'll put her to sleep, and then she wakes up, and then I have to do that like 10 times before she goes to sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, my patience.
I would second that. And also like your nurturement. Like I feel like you're really good with her. I've never seen you like throw a fit or get upset, you know, if she gets too fussy or, you know, if she seems like a handful. I feel like you've always just like, you've rushed to her call.
This is a positive thing that Ken backs her and says, yes, you have a lot of patience with her. You show that in practice that you have a lot of patience with her. And for Aurora, that is a great thing. However, from Ken's perspective, if Gypsy really has suffered 24 years of her life, having been monstrously abused by her mother, he should be all hands on deck to help her when she is overwhelmed or when the baby is crying and won't go to sleep, because that can be very triggering to somebody who supposedly went through the abuse that Gypsy says she went through. And also, with the inexperience, her family should be helping her. So should her friends. She's 34 years old. What are the chances that her friends are in their mid-30s and 40s as well and are mothers themselves, if not to teenagers, to adult children?
And you've always been there for her through every situation. And I feel like I've never seen you like even roll your eyes about it. So I think you've been doing a pretty great job of that.
Thank you.
Now, I'm not going to give her any Mother of the Year awards. However, I think that is a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a positive thing. That's a beautiful thing for her baby's sake. Now, do I think that Gypsy Rose Blanchard has changed at all? No. Do I think she wants to be a good mom? Yes. Do I think she wants to prove that to the public? Yes. Is that why she is trying to behave like a good mom? I don't know.
All right.
How do we respond if she gets sick or hurt?
I almost break down in tears whenever she's like crying, you know? I mean, she hasn't really gotten hurt.
Right.
You know, I remember one time she headbutted me.
Oh, whenever you didn't shave?
No, I was like holding her up here and she, you know how she does her little head rocks?
Mm-hmm.
And she like headbutted like my chin.
Oh, just wait. It's coming. Any mother can tell you, especially a mother that has more than one child, usually you have one kid that is more prone to getting hurt than others. For me, that is my middle son, and he is going to be 18 soon. He recently got stitches again on his knee, taking out trash. Not here at home. He was helping one of my twin nieces with her 3-year-old baby and her fiance at their house, taking out a trash bag and ended up somehow cutting his leg. Inside the trash bag was a can lid from a can of peas, and it somehow cut through the bag and through his knee as he was literally taking the trash out. It's the most bizarre thing. So sometimes kids are more prone to getting hurt than other kids. Some kids are very active in sports and other things, and they're more likely to get hurt. Some kids are not. Lucky for me, one of my twin nieces is actually a licensed cosmetologist right out of high school, and she recently went to school and got accepted into the nursing program to become a registered nurse, which she is almost done with. So one of her cousins, my son, goes over to her house to help her a lot while she studies because she's engaged. They just bought a house. She has an almost 3-year-old daughter. Luckily, with her quick thinking, her education, and her experience, she took my son to the ER right away. And my son is almost 18 and he's already 6'3". But what's bizarre is my other kids combined never got hurt as much as what my middle son did growing up. It was just really bizarre. He was the one kid that always got hurt. All you mothers and grandmothers, I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. Did you have a kid that was more likely to get hurt than your others?
And she winced and cried a little bit, and I felt so sad, and I just held her close, and I almost cried. Like, I can't handle the emotions of hearing her cry.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say she's really gotten hurt, you know.
Well, she hasn't been sick.
She hasn't been
either,
sick yet.
So.
You know, the worst sickness I would say is she's been maybe constipated for a few days,
And colicky, but that's
and colicky, yeah. But we get through it.
we handle it. And
Yeah.
plus, good thing is like we have so many people that have kids.
At 5 months old, she's not getting watered down pear juice or apple juice with like 3/4 water, because that helps constipation. Also, babies that are formula fed probably get very bored with having warm milk all the time. And if you live in a state where it's humid and hot the majority of the year, you want to make sure you're offering your baby water too. But yes, infants like a variety of flavors. Could you imagine how boring that would be to spend the first 180 days of your life drinking warm milk? And not only that, of course, that would cause constipation. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I just got
we get all the
hey,
all the remedies.
Hey y'all, this is what's going on. Any ideas?
Yeah, yeah.
And if something got like really bad or whatever, I'd call her doctor or whatever.
There are some suggestions we get from people that I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm not gonna give her a bottle of apple juice. I just don't think that's a good idea. But
yes, it is. Or you can always give her a little tiny bit of regular Caro syrup, which helps constipation. But babies very much can have a bottle with water. Yes, they can have juice. You give them baby juice, apple juice, pear juice, any kind of other infant juice, and you dilute it heavily with water.
We get through it.
Yes.
Okay. What's your opinion on screen time limits?
Okay, well, obviously this is gonna be for when she's older.
It's for later. It's gonna be for later. But we've talked about this.
Yeah. I mean, screen time, I don't like a lot of screen time.
This is already a topic of disagreement between them, because she did a whole entire anti-bullying video talking about exactly this. And the reason why is because Gypsy knows what she was doing for years behind her mother's back, when her mother wasn't aware that she was going on dating websites and creating all these different Facebook accounts. She psychologically wants to control her daughter's screen time because she wants to control what her daughter has access to, which of course is a given. You should do that up until a certain age. But even with the COPA laws, which I talked about in a previous video, and with social media, most kids are allowed to sign up at 13. Of course, that should be with parental consent and parents monitoring their devices, but they are allowed to do it. And with kids, if there is a will, there is always a way. Gypsy's past and her past behavior are a prime example of exactly that.
Okay. All right.
What?
No.
You had something to add to
Oh,
that.
I do. I'm just waiting.
I mean, I just don't like a lot of screen time.
Okay. Well, there's one specific thing that comes to my mind. It's the conversation we had about iPads in the future, where you say you don't want her to have an iPad at all.
Well, okay, let me be specific. Okay.
Why is Ken so flushed? I don't know. Maybe he's just overheated. He needs to take off those socks and that overshirt because he looks very flushed. Now, I suffer with severe anxiety, and if I didn't know better, I would say that he is very anxious because of the recording. In my opinion, this looks like somebody who is antisocial being forced to do something that he knows is going to be on social media, that he knows a vast amount of people are going to see and watch. He looks just very uncomfortable. All the way from the flushing to the forced belly laugh.
A toddler, no.
Okay.
As a preteen, no. As a 16, yes. If she shows us that she is responsible and safe.
Watch, Aurora is going to have a TikTok or an Instagram by the time she's 9 or something like that, because you know how kids can be. Gypsy, you are about to learn what it's really like. You're about to learn what you put your own mama through. You are about to learn who your daughter really is and who you think you want her to be in the future. And you're going to have to reconcile that, because let me tell you right now, all parents have to at one point or another.
She can have an iPad.
Okay. I'm just thinking, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm trying to be, I don't know how this sounds, but like, realistic about it. Like, when I was a kid growing up, you know, I'm 32, I didn't get my first cell phone until I was 13, and that was a flip phone back then.
See, Ken is at least trying to be more realistic. Somebody has to be. Just look at the FOIA documents. You can see that Gypsy had a PC, a laptop, a phone. She had a memory drive. She had cell phone. Not to mention the devices that Nicholas Godejohn had, including his own PC and laptop and gaming console. But 16 years in the future, you think that she's not going to get her hands on an iPad? Oh, baby girl. They give elementary, middle, and high school students Chromebooks for school now. School issued.
Like, you know, like...
Good old Nokias.
Like, you were cool if you had a Motorola Razr. And I didn't get one of those, but I eventually did later on. But nowadays, I feel like I've seen like 10-year-old kids with iPhones. You know, I've seen even younger kids with iPhones. And I also see like really young kids, like, I don't know, I can't tell their age, but like that have iPads. And I feel like we're gonna get like we say that, you know, yeah, we're not gonna let her have all these screens, and you know, it's gonna be harmful and that. But I feel like when we have a screaming 4-year-old, you know, day after day after day, and like the only way to pacify them is to like give them an iPad with Cocomelon on it.
Now that is the most modern, most real, and most relatable thing that either one of them have said in this whole video thus far. Children are smart. By 5 months old, they see their parents on a cell phone all day, every day. They see you checking the comments. They see you watching videos. If you think they don't know, of course they know. They are sponges. They absorb everything, especially in the first 5 years of life, but they also are going to notice other children being on devices in school, out of school, at places they go to, at the zoo, at the parks, anything like that. Children in general are very smart, smarter than you may think.
Like, I'm probably going to cave at that,
Listen,
you know?
I had dolls. I had baby dolls, and when I got older, I had, you know, Barbie dolls. Like, I had toys growing up.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was pacified by that. But, like, I was also, like, I was a good baby. I was a good child. And my mom would always give me, like, the look if I wasn't. Like, you know, that stern look. So, I just knew not to, like, act up or anything. I was pacified with my stuffed animal. So
now that is her remembering her fond memories of her childhood, and she does this in the anti-bullying video as well. She says that she wants her child to have a touch grass type of childhood, just like she did in the 90s, having all the toys and the makeup and having all the stuff like skates and skateboards and bikes and all of it. What Gypsy says is very telling because it is coming from her perspective and her mental state. What she is telling us is that she has very fond memories of her childhood. And anytime she did misbehave, she would get the look from her mother, not a physical punishment. And every mother and child on planet Earth knows what the look is in every realm, in every language. Trust me, there is a look.
I got you.
I don't know. I was a 90s kid, so like, and you were too.
Yeah.
So.
You know, getting her something like that just to make her happy, you know. So we'll deliberate when the time comes.
Yes, they are both 90s kids. You know why? Because they are both millennials, just like me. I don't know Ken's age, but if I had to guess, I would say that he's actually around the age of 38 to 40. Gypsy is going to be 34 very soon. They are both millennials.
How will we support her academic success without pressuring her?
I'm gonna be there every night to help her with her homework.
So you think, wait until you have babies number 2 and 3, and you have work, and you have all this other stuff going on. And just wait till you see how modern schooling actually works today. It's all digital and it's all paperless. Done on what? Chromebooks, tablets, computers.
Help her study, and I'm gonna, you know, try and put her in like gymnastics or any kind of like school program. Get her more involved in like clubs and things like that. Those are all things that I didn't do as a kid that I wish I had done. I think they're very beneficial. So I think just being an active part of like her helping her with her homework every night, talking to her about what's going on in her classes, just being as involved as possible.
It's called parenting. That's what you do as a parent. You parent.
In her school, you know. Whereas like when I was a kid growing up, like my mom did the best she could, but I grew up mostly with a single mother and with 5 siblings. So it was hard for her to help all 5 of us, you know. But like luckily with just Aurora, at least for now, you know, I see myself being extremely involved and just helping her as much as I can.
That makes sense.
I think that Aurora is going to grow up either one of 2 ways. She's going to be very surprising, and she's going to be a very, very just naturally good, naturally gifted child, or she is going to be Gypsy's karma, meaning not in a bad way, but she's going to be hyperactive. She is going to be stern. She's going to be sassy. She's going to know what she wants. She's going to always demand to get her way. Very firm and very solid in who she is, what she wants, what she likes, what she doesn't like. But overall, I think that Gypsy is going to be very surprised.
I mean, I think that like for me, I want to make learning fun. And so, you know, there's always like so many ways to parent.
Without the micro-analysis, without the getting into the nitty-gritty, without the semantics and the over-analyzing, there really is 2 ways to parent. You either parent or you don't parent. You are either actively parenting or you are actively neglecting.
And I watched this one show one time. It was a reality show. And it was like different parents and different parenting styles. And it was like, if your kid does this, like has no rules or whatever, how will they behave and things like this.
This in and of itself tells you exactly where Gypsy's mental state is and how she processes things and how she learns. She learns through watching things on YouTube. She learns through watching things on TV. She learns through sitcom. Not only is that a very unrealistic way to learn, your parenting style is ultimately going to be determined based on your child or children. Each child is different from the next. It is going to be determined based on what fits you, your lifestyle, your circumstances. Rarely ever does the vision of what a mother wants to be and wants her life with her children to be, is it really the case? And that's just based on the fact that most of the times you have this idea, this dream, this vision in your head of what it's going to be like. And then there's the reality of what it's really like. You can't base your parenting style off of what you see or a list of different types of parenting styles. You can't base your parenting style off of a TV, a sitcom, something that's not even based in reality. Good mother or bad mother is a different topic for a different day, a different video. However, you can't predetermine circumstances. You can't foresee that. But I do know from personal experience raising 5 children and having helped raise 8 nieces and nephews, having the majority of my friends be older than I am, in their 40s all the way into their 70s. I even have a very dear friend who is going to be 82 this year. Women are phenomenal creatures. Mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers are phenomenal creatures. And a lot of people I know, myself included, all had ideas and dreams over what we thought our family was going to look like, what our parenting style was going to look like, what our motherhood was going to look like. And then there is the reality that every child is different. Every child grows up and has their own thoughts, ideas, and opinions over their own life. Tragedy, loss, circumstances happen, divorces happen, new marriages and blended families happen. All you can do is your best every single day. And try every single day to be a good human, to be a good person, to be a good mother. And that starts with wanting to change. If you don't want to change, you're never going to change. If you're not a good and decent human being, you're not going to be a good and decent mother. And while nobody is perfect, most people don't kill somebody. There's a lot of people that don't lie either. So do I have hope for baby Aurora? Yeah, I have hope that God sees what is the best future for her and delivers that, no matter what that means. And I also do pray. I do pray for her. And no matter what me or anybody else thinks about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, I would really hope that the day comes where she fundamentally does take accountability and responsibility and feels some kind of remorse, although we have not seen that day yet. For her child's sake, I hope it does come. And if and when that day comes, I will bite my tongue. I will swallow my words, and I will shove my pride all the way down to the deepest pits of my core. And I will admit that I was wrong. But does she want people to think she's a good mother and going to be a better mother than the one she had? Yes, because her whole narrative post-release is now exactly that. I'm going to be a better mother than the mother before me. But having unprotected sex and having a child out of wedlock while you're married to somebody else is not a vindication of the fact that she wants people to think she's a better person, nor is it proof of that. Her having unprotected sex, which led to a pregnancy while she was legally married to another man, is actually proof of her impulsive, erratic decision making. And I really doubt from the time she conceived to the time she gave birth to her baby. And I'll even do you one better 5 months later, now that she's 5 months old. Do I think that Gypsy has changed? Do I see any proof that she has changed? In fact, we've seen her become more and more and more unhinged. And we've seen her crash out. We've seen her do horrible things to Ryan Anderson and other content creators.
And it was when I was watching that show that I realized that there are so many different ways to parent. And I'm like, I'm going to be more like this family, which is like, not super strict, not super lax, but just like supportive.
Yet Gypsy is already showing signs and has even said the word control many times in relation to her daughter. In her cyberbullying video, she speaks about exactly that, how she doesn't want her daughter to have devices until she's 16 or social media until she's 16. Because according to her, it leads down a dark path that she took. But what she fails to remember is that most people are not bad humans that go down a dark path. Aurora, there is no telling what kind of path she is going to choose to take for herself as she grows. But just like all moms, once they get to be that age and with the modern world, with technology, with all of it, there's going to be very little control in Gypsy's hands. And her having a daughter and her having to go through that experience in the next couple decades is going to be her karma. That is how the universe, how karma, how God, whatever you want to call it, that is how it works. Sometimes humans fail. Sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes human justice fails. But what never fails is God. And sometimes the worst place that a person, a murderer, a sociopath, a narcissist, for them to be is not in a prison enclosed by four walls. The real prison is being physically free, but not actually being free enough to go wherever she wants without being recognized for who she is and what she did. For the life that she took, her life now is forever endangered. And that is solely based on her own actions. The fact that she has to live the rest of her life finally understanding what it was like to be in her mother's situation, in her mother's position, in her mother's circumstances. Because Gypsy Rose, while she thinks she owns her mother's life, memory, legacy, and story, she doesn't. She forfeited that right and the right to make money off of it the moment that she stabbed her in the back 17 times and partially decapitated her. Her prison is not only what she did and having to live with it every single day and all of society and the world knowing it, she's going to have to live in the shoes of her mother and experience it to really understand the weight and the gravity of what she did, to really understand the weight and the gravity of her mother's circumstances and choices. And it was never for attention. It was all for Gypsy Rose Blanchard. That is why she is so entitled and so spoiled today. Still, that is a monster, unfortunately, that her mother created.
If you can imagine like the typical American family where you're just kind of like, did you do your homework?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I hear you. You know what would be a great question I wish we had in here now is like, what TV sitcom family would you want to,
be like?
Yeah, be as much
Well,
like.
I can ask that question.
Like, that's an interesting question, right?
Yeah.
All right.
See how Gypsy became very animated and she shot straight up and her spine straightened and she started smiling and she got really excited and happy over this thought. When the truth is, if Gypsy and Ken were like any sitcom family, they would be like the Bundys. Married with children, with Miss Peg over there constantly with her cigarettes, acting all bougie with her nails, her hair, her makeup, her expensive outfits. Married to a shoe salesman. I kid you not. I swear to God, if they were a family, they are the Bundys.
Who do you think?
I feel like we would be like Modern Family.
I've never seen Modern Family.
Oh my goodness, you remind me so much of Phil Dunphy.
Okay.
Which is not a bad thing. I mean.
See, I go back to like older 90s sitcoms. Like I'm thinking of no, I don't know. I was gonna say one, but I'm like, no.
He was gonna say the Bundys, married with children.
That's different because they're they had a son.
Whose turn was it?
I think it's mine now. All right. Should we include daily family activities like meals or walks?
Duh. Everybody has to eat to survive, and everybody should walk or do some form of exercise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel like we will. I feel like we're going to at least try to have dinner together as a family as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Put the phones away, talk about our day. Of course, I'm envisioning like a scene when she's a little bit older. Mm-hmm. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we can all go on walks with Parker, of course.
You know Gypsy wants that dog gone. She and her mother in 9 years in Missouri ended up going through like 27 pets or some crap like that.
Yeah.
Right, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I like the idea of putting the phones away.
Yeah. And at night too, before you go to bed.
Yeah. Oh, that's you again.
Maybe she's just talking. It's very possible she's just talking. Yeah.
Even Aurora is tired of hearing these two talk. But my real question is which one of them decided to put those questions in a cup? Because they ain't real questions. Gypsy and Ken never did a poll anywhere on social media asking people to send in their questions for parenting. Sue me if I am wrong, but I can guarantee Gypsy and Ken made up these questions, put them in a cup so they would have some kind of content to make. Because, driving around unbuckled with your child unbuckled, committing child endangerment, that didn't go over very well. Neither did the whole salon-centric or the National Donut Day thing.
There's a difference between crying and talking. That's a cry.
That's a cry.
Okay.
No, I don't want to get too. Okay. What do you think Aurora needs most from us in her early years?
The best thing we could do is just be in her life every day,
Yeah.
And so far we've been doing that, so yeah. I think we're on a roll.
Hopefully not that kind of roll.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that just really kind of creating that bond all the time,
And just finding new ways to keep her entertained and also active,
Gosh, that's a challenge.
Yeah, but
The thing that bothers me the most is this does not sound like how Gypsy really talks. She's acting very bougie. She's acting like what she thinks a celebrity or public figure sounds like. But she's hitting every single one of those buzzwords, every single one of those keywords in these big word salads that sociopaths and narcissists like. When you look at a lot of the things in the documentaries and interviews that she's done or that her family has partaken in, you always see it all comes back to, oh, well, Gypsy said, or when Gypsy was little, Gypsy said this or Gypsy said that. Gypsy says a whole lot of words, but really zero anything of substance. But what drives me crazy is she's not relatable at all because she's doing this weird, oh God, what do you call it? Like a Valley Girl type of accent, but she's doing it condescendingly. And she's also very patronizing. It's not an undertone. It's a very prevalent tone of kind of judgment there constantly with her words and her body language.
we have a lot of help. We have the tummy time pillow, we have the rocker, we got the jumper,
there's so much stuff
we
that
got
we
musical
got.
stuff, we got
I feel like
toys.
we do I feel like this is what we do every day. I feel like it's
like a little routine.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like move her from the jumper to the tummy time pillow to it's like
That's how it is. That's just what it is. It's a rotation. Yeah. It's just-
That is really what it's like for the first year of life until they start learning how to walk. I was lucky. I was very physically hands-on with all of my kids from the moment they were born. But I always tell new moms, do not waste money buying a whole bunch of those baby products. There's only a few things you really need. A car seat, a stroller, a high chair, a swing, a bouncer, a tummy mat. And I also found it very handy to have a walker. Now, even though they outgrow these items very quickly, the biggest one that you need is a playpen because it is portable. I think the first year of life is very hands-on, but a lot of these baby companies try to sell you on all of this crap that you really do not need, because then you get stuck doing this, just constantly in rotation.
It's a rotation, exactly. Being held enough.
yeah, it's like
Make sure she gets her naps. You know, we have Alexa for her feed time reminders. I mean, we got it all.
She has 2 jumpers, 3 tummy time pillows. Like, oh.
Exactly. Tummy time is tummy time. You don't need 3 different things for tummy time. And even then, you don't need all of these special tummy time play mats and all of this.
Yeah, but my favorite one is the one that goes on the Mama.
Is that your favorite?
That's my favorite
I feel
one.
like I've wasted so much money on it because she likes it for 5 minutes and then it's done.
I think that
This
she's.
is the biggest waste.
I disagree. I think that she loves it, and what you have to do is I'll sit down where I can face her, and then put her up on her elbows, and then just talk to her, make little faces.
Oh, we seen how he does that. Gypsy posted a video of her talking about smelling Ken's fart, and then it goes into him singing to baby Aurora. Now, I haven't shared all of those videos, but her talking about smelling Ken's fart, showing Aurora's blowout, then Mia showing Aurora's throw up, seems to me like Gypsy is trying to monetize natural baby functions. But the thing she didn't anticipate is the backlash, because people don't want to see your kids poop. We saw our own children's poop far too many times as it is. We've had our own babies, our nieces, our nephews, our cousins throw up on us far too many times. We've smelled the farts of our boyfriends, of our husbands, of our fathers and uncles. But it's just the fact that she would turn that into content that's just very desperate and very weird.
It's just so we all smile.
I've literally come over here and I've danced with like the Elmo doll and everything and just like acted silly, and that keeps her entertained for a little while, and then she does this. How do you want to support her if she experiences anxiety or sadness?
First of all, you make it known to her pediatrician. Secondly, you get her involved in therapy. Third, get her involved in your local county community mental health services, because sadness, depression, anxiety are signs of mental disability, mental illness, mental health issues, and that's where you should be going and seeking services, is from mental health services, especially for children as soon as they start those signs.
Just be there for her, just talk to her and try and relate on similar experiences and how I handled them. If depending on her age, if she wanted to talk to, get therapy, of course I support that. And just I think the best thing you can do is just don't let her feel alone in those moments. Just let her know that she has both of us around to talk to and get through things as a family.
I disagree, because that is a symptom of something larger going on or happening. It's different if it's just a mood, if it's just a fit, if it's just a tantrum, if it's just a one-day thing. But if it proceeds, then you need to get your child mental health early intervention services immediately, and therapy, if not therapy and psychiatry.
I 100% agree with that. I think that, I don't know, I think that, 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 like mental health, even for children, is super important. And like, I mean, I'm no therapist, but I mean, if she needed, she's like there, good jumper.
Chiming in.
She's probably wondering why her parents are acting and talking so completely different with a camera or a phone set up.
If she needed to talk to someone other than us, you know, we would definitely find the appropriate people, but just being there for her, you know.
Yeah. You're never gonna be alone, baby love.
I feel like I'm a super positive, bubbly person on a general, so I feel like, you know.
Yeah.
No, she's not a happy and bubbly person. I've known happy and bubbly people. Gypsy is very conniving and very cunning. I have seen firsthand, especially play out on her TV show, on social media, with her own friends, relatives, family, supporters, fans, even with her haters. Gypsy has done nothing but try to control and manipulate everything and everybody. She certainly does not exude happy and bubbly.
You'll keep that mood elevated,
right,
for sure.
keep that mood and that energy up.
Perfect. How should we respond when Aurora throws tantrums?
Well, depending on the size and the age of the child, if she starts throwing a tantrum, you pick her up and you remove her from the store, or you pick her up and put her in timeout. You have to teach your children that it's okay to have a tantrum, but it's not okay to act out in certain ways or in certain places. Sometimes that means you have to make them go to their own room, their own safe space, their own private space, so they can decompress, which is essentially like a timeout.
Good Lord.
Well,
I want to hear you go first.
Okay, whenever she throws a tantrum now, I mean, I just pick her up and hold her and just start singing to her, rocking her, you know?
She's not always going to be that little.
I know. In the future,
there is no predicting of what she's going to be like. I don't know. I think Aurora might really surprise Gypsy and Ken. But, you know, how she is as a baby now may very much change when she has a brother or a sister, or more than one brother and sister. Going from being the only child and the only baby to being an older sibling, it literally changes the entire family dynamic, and it also changes that child.
gosh, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I really don't know yet. Like, I mean, it's not going to be like an anger response or anything like that, you know? So I'm just going to I don't know, coddle her through them.
I feel like some kids, like, it kind of depends on what kind of tantrum, because,
tantrums are tantrums, but yeah, it does depend on the severity and the intensity of it and the child that's throwing it, because every child has their own different, unique features when it comes to tantrums.
Like, I was watching a video on TikTok of this, like, 8-year-old girl, and she was, like, in a grocery store, and she was throwing stuff off the shelves.
Okay, that's okay.
And I'm like,
that's different. That's what I'm like, okay.
And I was trying to think, like, what would I do in that situation? And it's like,
well, girl, one day you will find out.
I feel like I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'd be a little bit more stern. But that's hard when they get older. Like, when they're little, it's kind of like, you know, don't do that, don't do this, it's gonna be okay. But then whenever they start mouthing off to you, where it's like, you don't control me.
Okay, that's totally different. That's that's when you get.
Well, you just have to wait and find out, because you don't know how you will react until that day comes. But you can be prepared, and if it's in a store, you immediately take your child out to the car and let them know that you are not going to tolerate that behavior in the store, even if it means that you can't get what you need. Or you have your sibling, your spouse, your parent, a friend, somebody with you, take them out to the car and wait out in the car with them until you're done getting what you need and you come back. You can also do a timeout in their own bedroom, let them decompress, let them calm down. The more you try to pacify a tantrum, the more attention you're giving it. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to positively reinforce a negative behavior. You want to positively reward good behavior. It incentivizes your child to grow up knowing that they get rewarded for making the right choices, for making good choices. Because negatively punishing them for bad decisions or choices is going to do nothing but further perpetuate it. So if a child is throwing a tantrum, let them throw the tantrum, but just let them know that they can't do it out in public. Because if they do, then they don't get the privilege of being in the store. They don't get the privilege of getting a treat or a reward. And also you have to let the child know that it doesn't bother you, because if you show a lot of anxiety, stress, distress because of your child's tantrum and the embarrassment of it, then they know they have control and leverage over you, that they ultimately have control over the situation. And of course, Gypsy knows all of this because she used to do it to her own mom, to the point that her mother literally had to give her a look or squeeze her hand to let her know.
Grounded, that's when the phones get taken away, that's when you lose privileges, that's when all that kind of stuff happens. So, I mean, that's, I guess, how we would respond. I mean, she's not going to get away with everything.
Right.
You know, at a certain age, it's okay, when she's little, but when she gets bigger, it's like, okay, no, ma'am, not going to happen anymore.
I completely disagree, because even when a 2 or a 3-year-old is throwing a tantrum, all that does is teach them to keep throwing tantrums. The first year of life is critical for all human beings. It's the only year of our life where we actually triple in size. You're born as a, say, 6-pound baby, and by a year, you're a 22-pound baby. Your bones, your skin, your head, your organs all triple in size. And there's no other year in the rest of your life where you will literally triple in size. The first 5 years are extremely critical. All of our problem solving, our emotional intelligence, all of our language skills are being developed. A very large percentage of brain development also happens in the first 5 years of life. This is why it is so critical for babies from birth until age 5 to have adequate vitamin D.
I think it's your turn. It's okay, baby love.
Do you believe in timeouts, consequences, or gentle parenting?
All three.
All three is a good answer.
All three, yeah. You're going to get a little dose of each, depending on the situation, depending on how you act.
I agree. I agree, yeah.
Timeouts, gentle parenting, and consequences. Does Gypsy get any of those? Because somebody needs to be parenting her still. Like, I'm not even kidding. I have questioned multiple times, does she have a caregiver? Because she certainly seems like she needs one sometimes. She was in the bathroom playing with $400 worth of the very, very serious chemicals from Salon Centric. Not only could you get a severe chemical burn, but the fumes could have been very bad for Aurora, who wasn't that far away from the bathroom. But those chemicals are very controlled for a reason, and that's because they can be used in the making of explosive devices. Never mind the fact that Gypsy is not a licensed professional, but who is babysitting her?
Do you want Aurora to have a strict routine or more flexibility?
I feel like more flexibility. Because I mean, we really haven't. We've tried to like put her on a routine, even starting as young as 4 months, and
I completely agree with Gypsy here, because the first year of life, babies change so much. So you try to keep them on a routine or a feeding routine, and really it's up to the child's discretion. Each child can be so different from the next. But flexible, yes. I think you always have to be flexible with children, no matter what their ages are.
I feel like it's just kind of easier to go with the flow. Like if she's, not tired, or if she's hungry sooner than what I expected, I'm not going to be like, okay, it's not 5 o'clock yet. I'll cave. If I feel like there's a little flexibility there.
And I agree with Gypsy 100%. That is why you must be flexible, because when your baby is hungry, you should feed them. When they have wet themselves or soiled themselves, you should change them. There are certain things that you want to be routine with, like, dinner time, or maybe bedtime, maybe nap time, stuff like that. But you have to be flexible around that. And as your child grows, you only have to be more flexible, because it only gets worse.
I feel like it changes with age. I think right now having a more strict routine is better in terms of like the feeding times what time she gets a bath, what time she gets put down for bed at night, because she's finally at that age now where she sleeps through the night.
Exactly what I just said.
So I think right now it's better to have a more strict outline, you know, with, I guess, a little bit of wiggle room, you know. But I think it helps keep her in that groove. Like, she's more likely to keep going to bed at the same time if we keep putting her down at the same time.
I've seen schedule templates done by mothers, and I've seen it on there like nap, 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 nap. And I always thought that was really weird. Why do you want your infant to nap so many times a day? That's going to really cut into their sleep. It's my own experience with my own children and my nieces and nephews. All 13 children that I have been raised around, or that I have helped raise, all of my own children that I raised myself, none of them napped more than once a day unless they were sick, even starting at a very young age. And that's why me and all of my sister's children, they all slept very well at night. And of course, it depends on the child, but sometimes they need longer naps. But if you let your child nap for longer than 45 minutes, that's really going to start cutting into their sleep at night. So if your child is not sleeping well at night or sleeping long enough, it's likely because they are having too many naps or their naps are too long. 2 of my children actually stopped napping pretty much altogether by the time they were a year old. And that wasn't my doing. That was largely their own doing. And all of my kids were amazing sleepers, especially at night. I have been very blessed and very fortunate with very good kids who really love their sleep. But, you know, I know that's not the case for every child.
You know, don't let her nap for too long throughout the day, otherwise she won't go to bed at night, things like that. And then as she gets older, you know, flexibility will kind of maybe increase depending on what's going on.
How do we create a home where Aurora feels safe to express her feelings?
Okay, I am going to cut out little segments here because there are segments where Gypsy and Ken aren't really saying much of anything. And this is already over a half hour long. Plus, with my commentary, it's over double that.
Just encouraging her to be vocal about how she's feeling, and not be afraid to talk about it, what's bothering her, what she's looking forward to, what she wants to do, and just having those conversations as they come up.
Good answer, Ken. Solid, rehearsed answer. The best advice I can give you and Gypsy, though, having my youngest 12 and my oldest 22, is that children go from being very physically demanding when they are little to being children, kids, who are very emotionally demanding, to being teenagers and young adults who become very mentally demanding. Young babies and young children don't often know how to use words and language to verbalize what they're thinking or feeling. But as your children grow and change and adapt, what you don't realize is that you grow and you change and you adapt. As much as you are seeing your child grow, what they don't ever tell you is that your child is watching you grow as well. I watched my own parents go from being young adults to being past middle age to being elderly, and now one of them is no longer here. I watched my own parents go from being parents to being grandparents to being great-grandparents. And the focus is always on, oh, your child is growing. Look at how big they are getting. Oh my God, they've changed so much. Wow, I haven't seen you in so long. I can't believe you're so big now. But what you don't see is your child's perspective. What you don't see is the reflection in the mirror. What you don't see is how much you change as well. It's not only sad, it's also humbling, it's also nostalgic, but it is the natural progression of life. It's the natural progression of a family cycle.
I feel like I'm a very open person about my feelings, so I think that like in the home environment, I think if like that is the tone for our house, I feel like she would be comfortable expressing her feelings, because it's like I'm so open about how I'm feeling. You're a little bit more. You're a different ballgame.
Sometimes having a parent that is really closed off and emotionally unintelligent, and having one that is emotionally erratic and is very vocal about what they think and they feel, doesn't create a safe space for a child to verbalize their thoughts and feelings, because there's no room for theirs when they have one parent closed off and another one that's too much. Especially for the parent that is too much, because then the child feels like they have to put aside their own thoughts and feelings for their parents. They also start to inadvertently take on the responsibility for their parents' thoughts and emotions.
Start having rules and responsibilities.
That's a great question, and I don't know. I'm going to have to lean on some parenting advice for that one, because I don't remember how old I was when I started having like responsibilities.
Coming from a single parent with 5 children, yeah, you probably didn't have a lot of responsibilities. That's probably why he doesn't remember when.
You know, like taking out the trash or like, you know, chores. And I don't remember how old I was when that started. I remember doing that when I was like 14, 13, things like that. But I don't know what age that like started. So I'm not really too sure at the top of my head, but I can look into that.
Okay, so for rules, 2 years old.
Okay.
Responsibilities, I don't know. I mean, like...
Okay, rules and responsibilities kind of go hand in hand. So if you think 2 years old, then it should be 2 years old for the other. If you think 2 years old is old enough to start teaching them certain rules, then they are old enough to start learning certain responsibilities.
5, 6, I mean, enough to be like, okay, you could help mommy do this. And, you know, they do make those like little kid broom, and you know what I'm saying, like help mommy do some stuff around the house. You know, I know that they have those types of things.
No, for sure. For sure.
You know, and definitely like, you know, pick up your toys. So I think that is kind of like
Agreed. Yes, I actually agree with Gypsy on this. Whether or not she looked this up and this is rehearsed doesn't matter, because I do agree with that sentiment. And I would honestly say, if she is seeking advice for parenting, that's probably a good thing for Aurora's sake anyway.
Yeah, you want to pick up your toys?
Yeah, no, definitely. I just, you know, I guess it's just going to come whenever she reaches that age where she's able to talk and understand and have conversations.
She's only 5 months old, and look at how intelligent she already is. She's already trying to mimic what she sees her parents doing.
You know, not just babbling like that. So, yeah, we'll get there. I just don't know, like, the exact age that starts. But she will have rules and she will have responsibilities, for sure. She's like, no, I want to do whatever I want all the time.
Like mother, like daughter. Of course she's going to want to get her way. It's going to be really funny to see how Gypsy handles that, though. Especially when that baby gets older. Because she's about to learn that you can't control your child or motherhood the way that you can men.
All right, how are we going to handle holidays and cultural traditions?
Okay, I mean, I feel like we've, you know, gotten into the groove of just doing, like, the normal stuff, like birthdays and birthday parties and, you know, family get-togethers and stuff like that. I mean, what about you? Do you have any, like, cultural things?
No, I mean, I think just, like, all the regular ones. Like, you know, I'm big on Christmas and Thanksgiving, Halloween, you know, things like that. So, I mean, we're going to have fun with it. We're going to go big with it. And, yeah.
What do you think baby Aurora's favorite holiday is going to be? Most kids like all the holidays, especially the ones that pertain to candy, but usually they like birthdays and Christmas. And unfortunately for Aurora, Christmas is December 25th, and only 3 days later is her birthday. The thing that really sucks about that is that she has to wait a whole other 362 days to have another Christmas or birthday. My youngest son was born in the middle of January, dead middle of the night, dead middle of a winter storm. So his birthday is only a couple weeks after Christmas, and he's like, man, this really sucks because I have to wait a whole other year. But both my daughters' birthdays are in June, and so they get a perfect timing between birthday and Christmas. I also have 3 cousins whose birthdays are right after Christmas, and they all said that it sucks. Even if the parents go above and beyond to try to separate Christmas and birthday and make them both very special, it's like your parents only have so much money for so many gifts, and your gifts are so close together. But it's really having to wait a whole year for any more gifts again.
Just gonna have a fun little childhood for sure. Because I'm just a 32-year-old kid today.
I'm a 32-year-old kid.
Perfect. 3 kids living together.
Right.
All right. Oh, I think it's your turn.
Okay.
We're not gonna do.
I thought that was.
No, I just asked them.
You did? Okay. What kind of school do we want Aurora to attend? Public, private, or homeschool?
Well, I think from the advice that I've gotten here in Louisiana, you want to put your kids in private school. I think that's what most people have told me.
Yeah, I've heard private school is very popular.
Wouldn't that be something if Ryan Anderson ends up being a teacher of Aurora's in the future? No, seriously though, what if he ends up working at the school that Aurora goes to? Now that is a plot twist for you.
And it's much cheaper than like most states. Like it's very affordable and doable here. So I think that you know, when the time comes, we'll look into our options depending on like where we live, and who knows, maybe we won't even be living in Louisiana. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
So depending on like where we live, what the school districts are like, and you know, we'll go from there. But
Yeah.
we're definitely gonna like put a lot of thought and care into that process.
Yeah.
I personally don't see Gypsy having the patience to homeschool her own children. From what she says, she only went to the 2nd grade and then she was homeschooled from there. So she doesn't have a lot of experience with actual schooling.
All right, let's do like maybe 2 more and then
Okay.
wrap it up. All right, yep.
What safety rules should we have in our home?
That's interesting. I mean, I'm not really sure. Like, you know, just keep the doors locked. Don't open the door for anybody that you don't know. I don't know, you know. I mean, the ones we do now, we keep all the cleaning products, and like our house is very well baby proofed. We keep.
I started baby proofing at like 2 months.
Now that's just common sense.
Yeah. So all like the cleaning stuff is locked up, and everything like that is kept away, you know, under like a little padlock thing.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I think as she gets older, you know, we'll have to. I mean, there's different types of safety. I mean, so it's like there's baby proofing and safety, toddler safety, but it's like, you know, honestly, I get so much anxiety thinking about like. Whenever we go somewhere and she starts to crawl, like at my parents' house, everything's just kind of like at, you know, at level to her. And
Welcome to parenting. That's your job. Babies are amazing. They're a blessing. They're cute. They smell wonderful. But nobody ever tells you how much work they are. They do say get used to it because now your life is never going to be about you ever again. But what they don't tell you is how much of an a-hole kids can be. They are very demanding. They are very selfish. They are very self-centered. They can be like leeches and suck the life right out of you. They suck the calcium from your bones, the oxygen from your blood, and then they suck every brain cell you have left and energy you have in you. But they are also one of life's greatest joys and blessings. But yeah, no, nobody sits you down and tells you, hey, use protection and birth control because it is extremely hard and your life is going to be forever changed. Nobody has that talk about you really need to sit down and think about this and if this is for you and if this is what you want. But even the most beautiful, the most bright, and the most well-behaved children often have the mentality for a very long time of me, mine. And I don't know if Gypsy's going to be able to handle that because she's still in that mindset.
so it's like it's not baby safe, and so I'm like, oh my god.
we'll just have to, you know, whenever. Yeah. whenever we go to your parents' house, we'll have to just kind of baby proof it as we go. You know, set her up like in a playpen, which we have. We can bring with us, and just keep her away from like table corners and you know, we're just gonna have to
certain
keep an eye on her.
furniture that we need to replace because it's like I know that we don't have to worry about it right now, but that coffee table or whatever gotta go.
What do you mean? It's fine.
It's no.
The corners are all baby proofed.
The corners are, but like everything's exposed, so it's like when she starts crawling, she's gonna pull stuff from it, and so we need one of those TV entertainment centers with the cabinets that close so we can lock it.
Nope, not going to work. Most babies are extremely smart and they know how to get out of anything and they know how to get in anything, even if it's childproof. My oldest son wasn't even 9 months old and he didn't even know how to walk yet, but he was learning how to walk. He could get up and down the stairs and he can get himself out of the crib and completely over a baby gate. He would crawl up the stairs and slide down on his belly, and he couldn't even walk yet. He would spread his toes and use them to put on the bars of the crib and hoist himself up and over the crib. And he would do the same thing with a baby gate. Babies are very smart. They watch and see and absorb everything around them. And like I said, if there is a will, there is a way. You just have to keep everything out of their reach, keep it put up, and you just have to be very attentive.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
More money we gotta spend.
It never ends.
It never ends.
Okay. All right. This is a good one. So, do you think she should be involved in team sports or group activities?
Yes. 100% because I think that it is helpful for her self-esteem. It also like helps her find friends. You know, let's just say she doesn't make any friends at school, you know, she can find a passion, a hobby, put her in something that she's passionate about, and then that way that'll create, you know, a long-lasting self-esteem that she can be proud of achieving something. So
now, like I said, do not hate me, but I agree with Gypsy on this. I really do. I think she said some very good things throughout this whole video. I think maybe she really has looked into or has researched a lot about parenting. And I really hope and I really pray that she's able to take that and learn from it. And I really hope as Aurora grows and changes that she's able to grow and change and adapt to her baby and her needs. Because nobody, even me in their right mind, would ever wish any kind of harm on her child. She's a beautiful little baby, and all babies are a blessing no matter how they come. No matter what my personal opinion or anybody else's opinion is on the fact that she even has a baby or has custody of a baby, let's all hope and pray for that baby and that Gypsy can change and be a very good mom to her. But that doesn't give her a free pass for being a shit person to everybody else. Nor does that give her a pass on being a convicted murderer.
achievements.
Yes. No, I totally 100% agree. I wouldn't change anything you just said.
Okay.
What kind of example do we want to set in our own relationship?
Okay, so I would say that I would want to set an example by showing like affection, like how I talk to you, how you talk to me, because she's gonna grow up viewing us on a day-to-day basis. And
children come with a naturally built-in intuition. They know who their parents really are. Let's hope these two do not botch it. But Aurora is certainly going to know exactly who her parents are. She's going to know what is an act, what is not an act, and she's going to know exactly what happens behind closed doors. Children are not only smart, but they have eyes and ears.
How we function in a relationship. And that's going to be her model trajectory for how she will handle relationships in the future. So.
Yeah. Just keep the love in the room. No arguments in front of her.
Right.
No anger in front of her. Just keep it happy, keep it positive.
Yeah.
And just try to be the best role models that we can.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
We'll see how that goes in, 5-10 years.
Right. Easier said than done.
How will we handle decisions about vaccines, doctors, and medical care?
I don't know. I mean, like, we're not Christian scientists, so like she'll get medical care, she'll get treatment whenever she needs it, I guess.
I mean, it's
you know,
normal so far.
Yeah.
Like, she's had her shots.
She goes to all her appointments on time.
Again, this is a very good thing. And do not hate me, but I am proud of Gypsy for that. At least she is making sure that her child is receiving medical care and vaccines. If she does anything right, I really do hope that it's her own child.
I mean, she hasn't been sick yet.
Yeah.
But, like, the norm, I guess.
Yeah, just make sure she gets the medical care she needs.
Right.
That's an interesting question.
She has insurance. Like,
Okay. So, how do we want to introduce her to other children in social situations? So, I would introduce her to other children by, we have a lot of people in our family who have kids around the same age as her, or will be the same age as, you know, as they grow up. So, you know, introduce her to relatives and maybe we have friends in the neighborhood that have kids too. She can make friends that way. Going to pre-K, meeting kids that way, you know, having her socialize with other kids her age, you know, as early as we can.
Yeah.
So.
And yet you see here, that's exactly what Dee Blanchard did for her daughter. And you see that she is socially awkward. She's failing and refusing to participate, looking for her mother. This is the second video we have of Gypsy pretending like her legs don't work. This is actually something very common, and I've seen it in children before myself. Little kids sometimes pretend like their legs don't work to test boundaries, for attention, or as a form of play. This behavior can be a part of their development as they learn and explore the world around them. It can also be a way of expressing emotions or processing experiences they may not be able to verbalize. This could be a sign of imaginative play. This can be a sign of boundary testing. However, this can be attention-seeking as well. They may be seeking reassurance or validation from their guardian or their caregiver when they feel like they are not getting the attention they need, they feel ignored, or they feel like they are being neglected. Some children just demand more attention or all of the attention all of the time, and that is unrealistic for any parent, especially a single parent, to give. This can also be emotional expression, sensory processing, or low muscle tone. In rare cases, it can be a sign of low muscle tone or other physical conditions. While less common, it is important to rule out any medical issues if the behavior is persistent or concerning. Gypsy has a severe and rare genetic chromosome disorder, a microdeletion of a chromosome. So it's safe to say that Gypsy Rose Blanchard is a very rare case, and that could be what it was. Even as recent as walking into the mall to take baby Aurora to see the Easter Bunny, and even going back to the trial of Nicholas Godejohn, you can see that Gypsy Rose Blanchard has issues walking and with her gait still.
The last one. What age should she start preschool or early education?
4 years, because that's the earliest.
I thought it was 5. Is it 4?
It's 4.
Okay.
Yeah, in Louisiana it's 4.
Okay.
Already looked into it.
All right. You're almost there, baby girl.
Oh.
3.5 more years. All right. Thanks for watching us answer newly parent questions, and wish us the best.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Have a good night. Bye.
If you liked my video, please subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and share.